I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I just think there's a certain rhythm that you get, obviously, when you play one event per day. And I mean, it's gonna be different, you know. So you can play a max of 13 games a day, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you can be like a right side player where you play your men's, you know, on the right side, and then all of a sudden now you're playing mixed, and like you're having to play kamikaze, totally different.
Right. But also too, it's gonna show like a certain level of skill set to be able to bounce back and forth. I think like I don't know, you're gonna see the best players perform, but definitely like adds a certain challenge to your craft. If you're like a right side specialist in men's and your left side guy takes over and you play a smaller sliver of the court, and then you play your mix later on, but you're playing with a female that you're pushing over and you're playing the left, like apples and oranges. What's going on? My name is Tyson McGuffin. Welcome to the McGuffin Show. We got the band back together. It's good to have this guy off to my left, back in his chair where he should be doing his thing. KMac and I got a little got some reps in this morning, you know, back to the Selkirk building, 6 a.m. business, 6 a.m. boys club. Get your ass to Selkirk, crank the tunes, drink a rain, maybe 400 milligrams of caffeine straight to the dome to get yourself rolling. And that's exactly what we did. KMac, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, you gotta get a good night's sleep when I come over here. I know it's gonna be bright and early. Get the caffeine, get ready.
Work.
Hard Duraball. Tyson doesn't miss dinks.
Right. Oh, that ball.
Backing me up off the line. Gosh.
It's so funny. This guy is so particular. So I tried to put the white and gold. So my white and gold signature in my 002. I tried to put it in his hands because, as with a lot of the Selkirk players, they it's kind of interesting. There's just been the paddle changes a little differently based off of color, and so I think why you're seeing James Ignatowicz use that 002 in my white and gold signature is because it plays a little softer than the Old Faithful or like the original black and red 002. So KMac loves the Power Air, but I'm like, hey, you know, I personally think the 002 white and gold is in the middle of a Power Air and the black and red. You know, he tried it for about 2 minutes.
I think it was like 30 seconds.
Missed a couple of dinks, and he's like, you know what? I'm going right back to Old Faithful.
Very stubborn. I already don't dink great. It can't get worse. I have a minimum number that I need to put in the kitchen.
You know what? You know, it's so funny. I feel like with Athena and Catherine, there was not quite a few times, but there was a handful of times where Tyson the same things. Like, Catherine, you should just just try this, and Athena's like, don't even touch that thing.
Right,
like we're not gonna right.
Well,
let's not change paddles. Let's not mess up a good thing. We already know what we like.
No, for sure. And to me, I think even just it's funny how particular you are, but I think you said it's like 8.5. I think I'm using like an 8. Just that extra little bit of weight. Right. Like you try to drop the head. I'm trying to spin and just taking a little bit too much of the ball. Obviously, it takes some time, but I'm probably more particular than most with the touchy-feely stuff. I'll be the first to admit it.
And it is true. Obviously, like if you go a little heavier, it's tough to drop the head and be a bit more versatile with getting added shape and doing a bit more with your wrist and
I think there is a little bit of a correlation between that. I would say that, you know, people with their background when they play, I think people that are more pure tennis where it's just so much better form as far as shoulder. But I think if you gravitate maybe a little bit more towards the ping pong style, like it's hard to go as heavy, right? Because you're dropping the head, creating a little bit more angle,
create a bit more
trying
with the
to
wrist,
brush up a little bit more with the wrist. So I think obviously there's a combo of wrist and shoulder, and I probably use a little more wrist. You probably use a little bit more shoulder. Right. I think that's probably why you're able to go heavier and still not see that dip in level as much.
For sure. And I think taking a look at like carbon fiberglass or like the 002 versus like a Halo or versus carbon fiber. You can really create a bit more. You can get a bit more shape. Just get the ball up and down more with that carbon fiber. But anyhow, we just got back from Miami. Had a terrible time. No fun was had. Didn't see the sun.
No children.
Didn't see any beautiful people.
I solved
zero music.
No. I definitely. It's funny. We've been to Miami once or twice before, and the times before. Well, one time I was extremely pregnant, and I think it was New Year's Eve, so that was
you can't fully dive in.
Wasn't really great. And then I think the other time we showed up, and we didn't really have a plan. I think we were just like randomly popping down there. Right. And we kind of learned that time that you can't really just pop in. Like, you have to have a plan. Like, even the beaches are like kind of sectioned off for the resorts. So it's like, I mean, there are public beaches and things, but like if you're trying to just do it on the fly, it's kind of difficult. So I kind of went into this knowing that the experience is going to be cool with Live Golf and meeting all the people and everything, but wasn't quite sold on Miami. Now after this trip, totally sold on it.
Well, and you obviously travel with Tyson a lot, but you're usually taking the kids, and it's a whole deal. I'm sure this was a breath of fresh air.
For sure.
Even just the two of you guys.
Well, and not only that, but like not having the pressure of a tournament, right?
Sure,
like, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, you know, it's fun going different places, but in all reality, like, we don't really do anything while we're in these places. We're just literally there to do a job. I mean, we get there on Monday, you're practicing Tuesday, Wednesday. Sometimes we have content, sometimes you have the kids clinics, or we have adult clinics, and then straight into the tournament, and then the tournament days are long, and the last thing you want to do is like go out to dinner or something on a tournament day, right?
Yeah, even when your evening's free, you know you've got something to do the next morning. So
exactly. So you like rush back, and then hoping for championship Sunday, and then boom, back home like bright and early Monday. So love traveling, but we just don't see a lot of the cities, so this time no tournament, we were just there to like take it all in, and the Live event was super fun, and I'm sure you'll talk more on that. But
no, it was getting to hang out with some of the golfers, seeing how down to earth they were, seeing how like respectful they were to me, and like respect my craft. Obviously, I was more than like respectful to their craft. They educated me all day long on how to play on Tuesday. My golf game sucks, not good.
They leveled you up.
Correct, right. We had two of the guys out there golfing on Tuesday, so we did like a collaboration thing with the Range Goats, which is a Live team. Bubba Watson, Taylor Gooch, Harold, and then Thomas Peters. And long story short, so we did like a collaboration with our Miami team as well, but it actually came from, long story short, it came from a chick that I went to high school with, Kelly Bauer. Shout out to Kelly, who I hadn't seen since like, I don't know, 2006, a long time ago.
It's cool to meet her.
Right,
she was so
right.
nice.
But yeah, she was like 3 years younger than me. She was a fighting goat just like me. Lake Chelan
and
Goats.
Now she works for the Range Goats.
Now she works for the Range Goats. Long story short, though,
full circle.
She only represents the goats.
Yeah.
Right? She's not.
When she's searching for a job, she's like a goat.
Once a goat, always a goat.
Any goat openings on any franchise.
It's like your alma mater, but it's your high school. What college did she go to?
The town north of us, their women's teams, their mascot was the Billy Goats. How bad is that? Pateris Billy Goats.
The Billy Goats.
Right.
Well, I still
is that a baby goat? What is a Billy Goat?
I'm pretty sure a Billy Goat is a baby goat.
Got it.
Yeah, that's like a.
So
it's like a calf. It's like
I don't want to sound stupid, so I'm not even going to speculate one way or the other. I'm just steering clear.
I'm pretty sure. Who knows?
So, and Kelly's mom, Carol Bowers, was my teacher in like 7th or 8th grade. Anyhow, long story. So Carol has been telling Kelly for the longest time. She's like, hey, like you should totally get connected, or you should totally get, Bubba and Tyson connected. So one thing led to another. Got my agents involved. Got this whole activation thing started. Flew in Monday.
Because Bubba loves pickleball. He has a pickleball court at his house, so his whole team plays, like, and all their staff and stuff, right? Like everybody plays together. So total social. So fan there. So it was like the perfect connection.
Yep. But yeah, so played golf with these guys on Tuesday. We played like the back nine. Shout out to Skechers. Skechers got me all decked out.
Looking sharp.
Skechers golf.
I was gonna rock the polo all the way down, or like let the buttons down. I'm like, you know what? I should just
high and tight.
So I went high and tight. Had the hair swooped over.
Look the part. If nothing else, look the part.
It's such a disparity between Skechers pro golfer. He's like he just won the U.S. Open. He's won a couple other big majors, and then he got Tyson.
Right. Anyhow, so showing up, people probably thought, they're like, oh my gosh, who is this new guy? Is he on the Live tour?
He looked the part.
And after watching me drive, I would assume they ran away.
But it was so funny, like. You got these guys that are like at the top of their game, right? They were in 4th position of the overall season. Yep. These guys have like so many major accolades under their belt. We're all out there. It's just a practice round. We were very brutally honest with them before we came, because at one point they asked to maybe even have you do the actual Pro-Am. And he said, no thanks.
Next time I am. And actually this Sunday, guess what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I got a tea time at 8:30.
It's
go time.
I hope
Get
the
you
snow.
on the
I'm
range.
totally won over.
Get on
I
the
hope
range.
the snow melts. That's the big thing. But no, it was funny. But watching these guys, right, that like top of their game, go to the driving range with him, and just like they're warming up too, right? Because it's a practice day for them. But they're like looking over, and
Don't
you can just
watch
tell they want to just like,
They wanna be like-
just dive in a little
Yeah,
bit, you
full of
know.
pointers. Yeah.
And so it
Guy
was
needs serious
it
help.
was just so cool to see. I mean, I guess I don't know what they do on a daily basis, but I would assume that they're probably not breaking down beginner golf. Like if they're giving a lesson or if they're helping on something, I'm sure it's a very at a different level.
Yeah, they're
right?
helping somebody get from good to great, not
Right,
somebody get
right.
from as a beginner. Yeah.
So listening to like Tyson break down the body mechanics to them on pickle and then them break it down to him on golf, I was like, that's so cool. I don't know. It was it was fun. And it was fun that they like took the time to do that. And during the practice round too, Taylor's thing, right, is like every couple holes, or maybe it was every hole, he kind of picks like an impossible putt. Like he'll just go pick a spot and set the ball there. And then everybody that wants to, right, can grab a putter.
And the cool thing too is that like, you know, so we had Bubba out there, we had Taylor out there, and their caddies are out there, and their teams are out there, and
their coaches, right? Yeah,
coaches and their content team and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, per hole after we finished the hole, it was like this longest putt contest, and they would put like $100 on it, and so but like everybody's all inclusive, like the caddies and the coaches and like the content team, and everybody putts, right?
Yeah.
Anyhow,
but if someone makes it, so like say you made it, Kyle, we'd all have to give you $100.
Oh, I love
so we
it.
don't have to pay $100 to play.
Sure.
But if someone makes it, you gotta fork over $100.
So-
and there were a couple holes, which they said that doesn't happen often, where a few guys
I won
made
every
it.
hole.
Yeah, he's made it every time.
Oh, stop.
Nothing impossible. So the question is, Ty, so you played some pickleball with these guys as well.
Yeah.
So is
Their pickleball were
their
was
pickleball
much better
game
than
is
my
much
golf.
better than your golf? Okay.
If you want to put me on the spot, they were so Bubba has got a court at his house. Taylor may play a decent amount, but Bubba's like a 3-5. Bubba's wife plays a decent amount. Bubba's wife is gonna take one of our camps.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Bubba's
She
son,
played in the WNBA, right?
She played in the WNBA.
Yeah.
wow.
Basketball player.
Anyhow, just the whole live tour vibe. Very like some of the logistics and the format is very similar to MLP. Don't have MLP kind of took that same model,
Right.
but it's very similar. But yeah, it's just so laid back. Like these guys play. You know, they have less time on the course. It's more guaranteed money. And just with all of that, with it being big guarantees, like very laid back, and it's a total party. Every hole,
Well,
every hole has
yeah.
every hole has speakers, tunes are pumping.
Yeah.
And like
It's loud music playing. You're like
Just like the
teeing off.
MLP
Oh yeah,
culture.
yeah.
like totally.
Just
It's
like
not
that
like
culture
quiet. I
difference,
mean, obviously when they're putting and stuff, I think they still ask the spectators to be quiet. But like, I mean, there's still music pumping. People are drinking. There's like, it was like Waste Management probably times 10. Maybe not as many spectators at
No,
this
it was
this one.
very, very
but
similar to Waste
like
Management. Yeah,
way like just
Waste
you're there to
Management is
have
unlike
fun,
PGA
right?
too,
right?
right.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I've
Vendor
heard some
Village,
stories
but
about
the
the
same
Waste
thing.
Management.
Like they're looking for shout out to the rest of their team too. Like Emily was amazing. She completely
Emily and my guy Gabriel.
Yeah, Gabe was awesome. But yeah, they're it's crazy. Like it's cool to see they're just that much further in the process than MLP is, you know? And so it was cool kind of hearing everything that they're going through and have come through. And like it kind of gives hope to like what the development could be on the MLP side. But like they're getting to a point now where like, you know, the Range Goats has a support staff, or they're going to utilize some of their staff to like actually move over. And so instead of representing a player, you're representing a team. And so you're looking for team sponsorships. You're looking for ways to win. Another really cool thing that I thought was cool is like the winnings, how they split the winnings. So
For
the winning,
team event.
yeah, it isn't split equally amongst just the 4 players.
Sure.
Each player gets 10% of the purse, and then
40, 60.
60 goes back to the team, which to me makes sense, right? It was a way for teams to make money.
Generate some of the money back.
Correct,
for everything. Yeah,
correct.
No,
And there's
it's a great idea.
incentive, right? Like, and I think too, there's something about like, kind of free agency and stuff like that. So like starting next year, and I don't know exactly how it works. I know she was kind of explaining it to me. It's like there's 12 teams. There's all those 48
four players drop out. I
The
think
4 bottom ranked players
correct.
on an individual basis drop out.
And that's the beauty in Live as well, is that not only is it team, but they find other ways to like make it interesting and do like individual standing points as well.
Yeah.
Which MLP could easily do.
Totally.
You could have efficiency
Right.
stats, or you look at like we were talking about like Julian Arnold this last MLP, like
The
didn't
guy
lose a match.
is an
It was
MLP
like,
king. Give him the crown.
I mean, obviously his team did well, but I think they lost in the semis. But
he doesn't lose.
But he didn't lose. So like
Honestly.
to give a bonus for somebody who's
Right.
just kicking butt, like would make sense.
Yeah, and so the second to a last event, it concluded the individual portion.
Right.
And so Taylor, who's plays for the range coach, Taylor Gooch, he actually won the individual component.
Small bag though.
18
Tiny
million.
bag.
18 million.
Just 18.
Oh, isn't that crazy? I don't know if that a part of his individual goes
Right.
back to the team, but he did get. Go ahead.
Probably the ultimate power move, right?
So cool.
Bubba, nicest guy you'll ever meet. He's what is he? 40.
Oh,
Like
you know, I'll
low 40s. Anyhow, stud of a guy.
So nice.
Definitely a bit nerdy, but he rocks his big old visor, and the range goes colors are like black and pink. Anyhow, so
44.
He's
Sorry.
44.
Yeah.
So there's very few athletes that have a deal with Richard Mill, and
he was the original.
He was
one of
the original. Anyhow,
Yeah,
he's got
sick.
this watch on his wrist. that's worth $4 million. Apparently, you can sell those things for 10.
It's one of 4.
One of 4.
Like
Unreal.
they would buy it back from him for $2 million because they could turn around and sell it for around 10.
Jeez. Just 10 million
And
bucks.
this
Richie
is-
Mill.
on
this
your
is how
wrist.
it-
So
like,
sorry.
Yeah.
And also he's got a matching one that matches the range goat's colors. It's white and pink, and like it's so futuristic looking, like spacey looking. And he put that thing on my wrist, and literally like it like takes up like a good portion of my wrist, massive. And it's just funny that individual with his personality is rocking that watch.
Oh, and I think
Nerdy but complete power move. I mean, show him
not-
this.
not
You
nerdy
got-
anymore.
you got something to say? Look at this. Okay,
What time is it?
it's got a couple of houses
like-
on the wrist.
Is this the coolest guy though?
No,
Like, I mean, like so easy going that he'd take it off his wrist and let it set on Tyson's
And
wrist.
he was telling me too, like his wife was saying, he just throws them around, like he just throws it in his cupboard, like at the house, it's all banged up.
But then also I was talking to Emily, and they detail these watches. So they have to fly. Like they take it. They don't just send it or ship
Right,
it,
it's too
right?
much-
Like
yeah,
no.
too much money.
So you like escort the watch to Paris, and then it gets detailed and fully taken out. And I think that's where their location is.
Yeah.
And I think Gabe was showing us like the view from the Richard Mills office is like the Eiffel Tower's like sitting in the window, and so it's like, but it sounds like a super cool company. They have a watch I think called the Bubba. And I think to get a custom one, it's crazy. Like all these athletes want them, right?
Right.
But like doing them a favor would be to get them on the 1 year wait list. But I think everything else.
So
is
yeah, you
way
have
further
like
after that.
like Bubba was saying, you have like all these rappers and like LeBron James and Odell Beckham and Snoop Dogg and all these guys like texting Bubba saying, hey, like, can you get me a deal?
Right.
And Bubba's like, bro, there's nothing I can really do. But it's funny that they're texting him. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
what's
Puts him on just another level.
what
the
I
guy's a baller.
What I love too, though, they were talking about, so all these rappers want him, right? And so they rap about him, and they rap about the Bubba, but they don't know that it's Bubba Watson. Like they don't know until they put it together, and they're like, so
that's
cool,
where that comes
yeah!
from,
You know
right.
what I mean? And then they meet the actual Bubba, and they're like, oh my god, it's the whole thing is like so cool.
So you
I
think
it's so cool.
you've arrived with the signature paddle, signature shoe. You got to get the signature
We
watch.
need the Richard
You gotta play
Mills.
at that
Come
level.
on, let's go.
Right. Get on Bubba's level.
Come on,
And
get us in the door.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny. We were doing that putting thing. We were doing like the little $100 putting thing at the end, and I hit this putt, and it didn't look very good. And right away, Bubba was like, "That's not going in."
That's not in.
No, it's so funny.
No.
That's not it.
And those guys like politely talk trash, right?
Right. You gotta needle each other a little bit.
And then let's see. And then we did. So my Miami team flew in. Obviously, Tyra and Fetty live in Florida, so they just drove down. But Mary Brasha, she flew in, and we ended up having some team practice for a couple days. Johnny Goldberg came down. Love me some Johnny G. Got some practice in. We did an exhibition at the Live event. They set up a court inside Vendor Village. It was indoors. Johnny Damon came and hung out. Bunch of celebs were there, kind of hanging out, watching.
Yeah.
But cool to kind of get to showcase pickle in that golf environment. I thought it was a cool collab.
Yeah, it was super cool. And there are people like the first day you played with the guys with the range goats. The first day of pickle, sorry. The second day we were there. Then the third day the team came. They did like pro exhibition. But then the next 2 days they just kind of left it open in Vendor Village, and some people from the Miami related to Miami Pickleball Club, but the Miami Pickleball Association. We're there anyways, helping run the event. Nice. They were so nice. And so because they're kind of connecting Miami PC to Miami, right? And to the people. And so not only was, they were there and they were just like hitting in with people, and people were lined up. Like everybody wanted a part of it. Yeah. So it was super cool to see.
Guys are in there drinking all day, like super competitive. Chest pumping and stuff, like trying to play the pros, and like anytime they like win a point, the crowd would go insane.
Yeah. All this so funny. You don't want to miss a dink in that setting.
Bunch of degenerates in there, line it up. They're decked out in like suits, sweating, like sliding in like boots on the court.
But it seems like that's the direction MLP's looking to go, right? Doing a lot more community events.
It's smart,
like get your players in,
get the players involved in the
community to it. Yeah, so probably more of that to come, I would imagine, for just about all the organizations.
And I think similar to golf too, like you see all these celebrity pro-ams, right, with golf, and they're athletes from all these other sports, or even celebs, right, that they love golf, right? And I think pickle is even probably more accessible, absolutely more accessible than golf, and all these people are playing.
Much
so like
complex.
It's so easy. Like doesn't matter if you're at a racetrack, if you're at a golf event, if you're whatever, throw a pickle court down and like grow the sport and get and
call Josh from Top Notch and have me come and pay me well. Okay, I'll be there.
And if
I'll be there.
Be the MC.
Knock on my door.
We come as a package. No, just kidding. No, but how cool. And then, you've got people that have never tried it before. They're just hopping in. Right, and then instantly they love it so much they're back in line. And I mean, and there were like custom paddles, Selkirk,
shout out to
Range
Selkirk.
Goat.
Yeah, Selkirk made these awesome paddles.
Range Goats, NPC, which is perfect because NPC's colors are the same as the Range Goats. So like it was just meant to be, right?
Collab,
yeah.
No, it was. Honestly,
so people were buying those.
Smoothly.
Yeah.
The Miami Pink.
The Miami Pink.
And then you guys practice at a public court. What are the days?
Yeah, practice at a public court.
Bunch of people
from Miami came and watched and showed out and appreciate all the fans and all the support and it was cool to be in the city, even though we don't live there, and to see all the support and like people totally like took us in as like their own and it was cool.
Well, it gave us a glimpse into what honestly what MLP could be like. I mean, you showed up at your team showed up at that park, and there were people like they were trying to practice, but in the same sense had to stop and like do a bunch of photos and signings, and they were all people from Miami. Right, and so there was truly that like Miami love. And so I'm like,
you want to build that local fan base.
Right.
Yeah. That's where MLP can really explode, right? When you start 100%. To get the local fan
Well, and that's
base.
where the sports franchise.
Right. That's the model, right?
Yeah. That's the move for sure.
Yeah. But to see a taste of it and like see it working and see it live and not just at an MLP event, like I think it's exciting.
No, for sure.
Cool.
Let's see here. We kind of cool. Actually, one of the owners. Shout out to Jamie. Jamie totally took care of us the whole weekend. Jamie's one of the owners, and also one of the other owners. Pretty neat. Not gonna name the nightclub, but he ended up he owns a nightclub there in Miami. He owns the land that the nightclub was built on, and so anyhow he ended up like getting us like the owner's table, came in with us bottles, anything you want.
Little team building exercise.
Team building exercise till 6 a.m.
Team
outing, right? Hey, some of your best
bonding.
Bonding takes place after 4 a.m.
Right,
it does, KMac knows that.
Hey,
Shamble all over again.
No disagreement here. No disagreement here.
Just gotta push yourself, you know.
Right. Be better past 4 a.m. Right.
Put yourself in an uncomfortable situation.
It's fourth quarter right there.
Fourth quarter.
Sink or swim.
Man up.
Let's
throw
go.
a first down. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
When you're in the red zone.
Perform.
Doesn't matter. 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
Just training. Just training to close.
Just reps, right? That's all it is.
I think I saw a little clip of Mary's podcast, and she was talking to Jamie, the owner, and she was saying like, cool to be in the city, and like I think Jamie was like, we want to be the most Miami team, and I think that evening Very much so.
Had Miami written all over it.
Don't go to Miami unless you know how to party a little bit. Don't get drafted by the Miami.
It's just a part of the lifestyle, right?
That was fun. We had Bryce Butler showed up. You know Bryce.
Nice.
Reggie Bush showed up. Reggie was with Bryce, and then his buddy Anthony, who's a total stud as well, showed up, and it was fun. And then so basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday we would sleep in a little later, and
recovery,
and then we would show up at the live event, VIP, all taken care of. Saturday, Sunday at the live event, they had a DJ each night. I swear, just high
value, high production.
If you're a golfer, you basically golf. You starts at 1, you golf from 1 to 5. Directly after, you go right over to the stage and you see some headliner DJ that's like worldwide in your face, and all these players have VIP access in their own area.
They're right up on the stage. Yeah.
Anyhow, it's just cool. That whole how they go about live tour and all the events is badass.
More ideas for MLP, right?
Right.
Bring in the DJs.
Hey, even though we love DJ Selkirk, bring in a headliner. Okay, pay him and bring in a headliner. Anyhow, so Alesso played Saturday night. We didn't make it out for that, but we made it out for Fisher on Sunday.
So cool.
And it was so much fun.
Fish.
Flew back Monday, got some training in for a couple days. This guy showed up, and here we are. KMac, tell us about MLP, what you thought about the experience, and what you thought about just being in the position that you were in, coaching DC. Let's not talk about DC kicking our ass in the semis. Right?
Nobody will bring that up.
No, let's not talk about that. But just your experience. And just working with four different personalities and how you went about that whole thing.
Yeah, obviously we've had a lot of coaching experience over the last few years, but other than yourself, haven't really spent a lot of time coaching people that are better players than me. So going into it, obviously knew it was going to be a completely different mindset to what I'm used to doing at camps or even when people fly out and do private training with me. And then also manage expectations as a coach. I'm excited. I'm wanting to, how could I add value to this person's game or that person's game?
But in a short period of time.
2 days. You get 2 days to practice. And so it's manage expectations a little bit.
Right.
So I know Riley a little bit. Right. And credit to Riley. I mean, I'll say the reason I got the job, and I had no idea that this would come from Riley, but apparently Al Tylis, the owner of DC, talked with Riley, was like, do you think having a coach would bring value? And he said, yeah, I think these matches are so tight, having another set of eyeballs and just being dialed in for a game plan might be the difference in winning or losing. So he gave him a list of names, and Riley actually picked my name off the list, which the last experience I had with Riley was coaching you and Riley calling me out in the crowd for being in your corner. And I'm like, so totally out of left field. Riley, totally cool now. But so I'm going into this saying, okay, yes, they want to know some X's and O's things, but every player on tour is used to coaching themselves to a large degree. So different mindset for how I'm communicating with Riley, who's at the top of the game, been very established. Different mindset for Christian, who's as talented as they come, but a little bit newer, more
of a sponge, from what it sounds like.
Totally a sponge. And then Kawamoto's, who love them to death, but they're the toughest ones to read, right? They're quiet assassins, and they're twins, right? So
trained assassins.
How much am I gonna want to mess with that chemistry? So so I mean, I didn't try to push too hard for we need to be on practice way too long. Everybody's kind of got their routine, so I respected that. Put more reps in, more private lesson reps in with Christian, kind of backed off Riley and just kept it the X's and O's, presented just a couple of options where maybe he could be a little bit more aggressive, but just tried to be as detailed as possible with every match of, okay, I think this is going to be the mixed doubles pairing, simple stuff. Where are we going to put the return? Who are we going to dink to? Who are we going to drop to? What are some attacking patterns that we're looking for? But more than anything, just pattern recognition. And then I think me, I'm not necessarily always a high energy guy, but I really felt like in an MLP environment when I was there on the sideline, I felt like, I'm not too prideful to be the hype guy, for a little bit. And as a coach, you can almost talk trash as a coach too, right? Because you're able to.
That has Johnny Goldberg written all over it.
No, I mean you can kind of needle people between points, because you can say somebody misses a backhand dink, all right, that's the spot, just keep going there, right? Loud enough for the other team to hear it, right? So no, totally different culture. I went into it trying to embrace it and just anything I can do to try to give my team the advantage, and we did obviously really well.
balled.
Yeah.
It
You
was
guys-
a heartbreaker to lose in the
you guys
finals.
Had and I mean the odds of you guys losing, being up 2-0 match point.
Right.
Yeah.
Overhead. An overhead on match point.
Never happens. Never
Heartbreaker.
Yeah, for sure. But played well, and but all those matches are so tight. You know that even if you go in confident of like, oh, I think we've really got these guys, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Like there's no overlooking any match, any team.
Equalizer, anything can happen.
Yep.
I would like to know the stats or just the numbers on what percentage of matches go at least 17-21 or 18-21. I mean, it's got to be.
Probably like 90%.
It's gotta be.
Probably
That's
90%.
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like
That's insane.
15-21 is like considered a
blowout.
blowout,
That's a butt kicking.
Tell me
for
this: what did Alex Pop say to you after the finals? Obviously he probably was thinking, zero is like down 0-2, down at match point. This is all over. They come back. Win it in a dream breaker. Did he say anything?
No, so Alex and I got to know each other.
Alex
a
is a
little
total
bit,
boy.
a little bit
He's top for us, right?
So like we were going to schedule like team scrimmages.
Right.
I'm like, hey, it's awesome that you're working with them. And even before the final, I'm like, hey, I'm glad it's us. Like either way, congrats for getting here. Obviously, he's like, you did great. Like heartbreaker. Like my team just.
Right. I
stepped
mean, what are you
it
going to
up
say?
big time. We're not going to rub it in.
No.
I texted Andre.
Nor is he that guy at all.
I texted Andre too. Just congratulations.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I mean, all of us for a few hours after that, we were all deflated.
The
and
heart gets
heartbroken,
taken out of you.
No, I mean, we just didn't see it coming. We're thinking, we're rolling. Obviously, we played well in the semis. We're playing great all day. Right. Looked like we were going to win this thing 3-0. Right. And then, I think once we went into the dream breaker, I was trying to rally the troops and get the belief there, but it was like a kick in the stomach.
How does the energy not get deflated?
Right.
After,
right.
after that's tough.
Being up,
I mean, whether it's fighting off match points, and coming back, or being put in that position, it's tough to recalibrate. It's tough to like pump life back into the team.
I think too, it was like it felt a little unlucky. I mean, maybe I should have done more as far as scouting Rachel Rohrbacher, but there wasn't a lot of film or stuff available on her.
Right.
So I felt like
she played well.
She obviously stepped it up, but I tried to give a little bit more of a detailed game plan, men, women, where to go with different people. But she was the one person in the whole Premier League that I hadn't watched play a whole lot. Right. And she's got some clubby hands, and to be lined up with Riley and handle his flicks and attacks and get it through his recounter, there's guys that can't do that. Right. She stepped it up on another level, and deserved to win.
How much does that happen to like a player that there's not much film on, or there's not much information on,
makes a breakthrough
they come in with like nothing to lose, right? Like just you just leave it all out there. And I think, especially in a situation, and I said this a little bit about Allison, who you guys had to pick up, like to a degree, it's like it's almost the best of both worlds, because I think sometimes when you're on tour for so long and then you have a breakthrough, you have all this like respect and like this, you know what I mean? Like when you do get in some of those big matches, then you're kind of just, not that you're happy to be there, but then also like, you probably over respect some of the players.
Absolutely.
And so I think maybe in like a Rachel scenario or like an Allison scenario, like where there isn't really a lot, not that they don't respect players, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's not, they're not also thinking about that.
No,
they're just literally playing. Swing away.
See ball, hit ball, believe in yourself. No, but the more you watch a particular player play these matches time and time again, and they bring such a high level, you show up and you're like, oh, my level has to be this as a minimum.
It has to be so much greater.
Right. You just forget. Sometimes you just got to compete.
And everybody puts their undies on the same stinking way.
Well, and you see that, right, too, even on the PPA tour, like Ben's upsets or, random upsets, like it's the same recipe, right? It's just like, who is that guy? Who is that girl?
Well, and to Rachel's horn, she's got the personality of like, I could care less.
It's true.
Honestly, but like I'm telling you, like, and I'm not gonna say it's delusional, but I'm just saying like, and I'm not gonna call her a bad bee, but in the same sense, like she's a badass, confident, like put herself on that pedestal. And I swear, when you're in that scenario where maybe you're not known, you have to build yourself up. You got to put yourself up here. You got to be looking down.
And there's not many people sending like a guy like Riley that kind of message. You know what I mean? I don't think Riley sees it on a very often basis, especially it's a maybe even from a female side that's like, giving it to him and like acting like she's like, it's no problem. You know what I mean? So, I think
when you look at the first half of the year, if you look at like Riley's Riley's results the first half of the year. I think he made like
with Matt
I'm just talking mixed specifically.
Right.
Yeah.
He made like 5 or 6 finals with different female partners. So
Right,
it's
right.
clear that
Beat me
he
in
can
a
do
wide range of
he can
seminars.
do the heavy lifting and
Right.
mixed.
For sure.
So for a kind of unproven player to step up in the biggest moment,
Yeah.
like
Kudos to her.
you got to
It's
tip
awesome.
your hat to her. Obviously,
sure.
once I wiped the tears away,
Right.
I had to give much respect.
Well, just one other thing that I'll add. I know we were talking about this yesterday, but like you said, like being that hype man or like talking a little trash. I mean, I think Johnny takes it to the other side.
You don't have to twist Johnny's arm to talk a little trash.
Where you might have said like that's the right spot, Johnny would have been like, "Oh, you just missed that," you know,
They're
whatever.
terrible, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think from the crowd aspect, like I was telling you this, it's funny because we were talking about like for me, even cheering in the crowd, like there's things like cheering, things you would say, things, actions, whatever. It's just like it's a whole different thing. You know what I mean? And it does feel like, honestly, like we played on side courts where there was no energy and there was nobody getting excited, and it just like everything fell flat. Like it really makes a difference.
And that's-
Like
I
the
think so.
crowd makes
I
a
think so.
massive
No,
difference.
it does.
You know?
And that's what was so much different about Atlanta was like all those side courts were, I'm not going to lie, they were super dead. You take a look at San Clemente or Mesa, and it was hype. Or even like Daytona, that awful town, awful old Florida town of Daytona. Nobody's in that town. Nobody wants to be there, but still those side courts were
people
popping
were
up.
freaking
Rocking.
out. Yeah,
Side courts
no,
were
it's so
hype as
true.
could
Yeah.
be. So,
Well, we've talked about this, and certain players are going to embrace that environment. You look at
Rafa.
guys like Rafa, Julian Arnold, high
Yeah.
energy
Yeah.
people, and not throwing shade at J-Dub and Dylan, but they're at the top of the game. But if you look at MLP specifically, maybe underperformed a little bit for their skill level. So it almost feels like if you're not talking just a little bit of trash or getting a little bit loud, you're doing it wrong.
And
in a
not
way.
speaking to like J-Dub or Dylan, but like even on the third aspect of that, I think there's players that maybe don't embrace it but are also offended by it. You know what I mean? And I think there's those players that maybe you don't see do well in MLP and maybe not prefer MLP because it's just not something that they're, I mean, because to me, obviously it has, proponent, it's pickleball, but to me, it's like a completely different sport. It's a different arena. To me, it's like live versus, the tour. And you definitely need both. And you see the most successful people on the live tour, I feel like had success on, I don't know for sure, but I just think that's it's a different aspect to it. And we were joking, like there's been a docuseries that filmed like the first couple seasons, and they were miking some of us up in the crowd, and it was funny. I was laughing because we watched the quarterback documentary, and they were the wife's in the crowd, and I was like, oh, okay, I can understand now how they would use that footage. And then I was like, oh no, like if that's the only aspect that people get to see me, they're gonna be like, Megan's a freaking animal on the sideline.
Don't mess with her.
She's screaming, she's like passing out, which I wouldn't dare do at a PPA event, right? It's
Set the
just
bar
a different
high, Meg.
So
Bring
just
it
so
at this
everybody
level.
knows, if you watch that, I cheer extremely loud, as everybody does at an MLP.
You
But
have
at a PPA, I am more than
we got the
well
golf clap.
prepared.
Yeah. Well played.
low key, quick note:
low-key.
Julian still kicked my ass on a side court with zero energy.
Yeah, that's true. He makes his own energy.
He doesn't need anybody else.
His tank is full.
Yeah, guy's a machine.
He's just screaming at the scoreboard.
Always has that. Plays with a chip on his shoulder.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
And from what it sounded like him and Lauren, weren't gonna shove to Atlanta, and then
Yeah, a lot of drama with that till the very last.
How
last
many
second.
hours? Like literally hours before,
The day
right?
before, 12 hours
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
it looked bleak.
Julian
It
waits
looked
till
bleak.
Thursday to show up, and then balls out
And it
Friday,
doesn't
Saturday.
lose.
It doesn't lose a match.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Teach me how,
You
Julian.
can't tell me that he doesn't like MLP though. So I feel like he was probably pretty torn.
I think
Whether
that was
representation was
somebody
telling him
else's
correct
decision
correct
not
yeah.
to come, and he has to just follow suit.
But do you think he was like a kid on Christmas, just like hoping?
Yeah, right. Please.
I hope I get to
let
play
the
tomorrow.
dog off the leash.
I hope I get to do this. Yeah, it's too
Too
funny.
funny. Okay, KMac, you just got back from a few weeks traveling, banging out some camps.
Yeah, longer road trip for me.
Where
it
were
was
you
in
at?
Vegas.
Viva.
So I kind of turned that into a little bit of a couples trip. Brought my wife out there with me, so we were there for a week. Did a camp, but also a little bit of playtime as well.
Hey, the new motto is travel without your children.
I mean,
I'm telling you.
sorry, kids.
Life's easier that way.
Sorry, kids.
School started. They're taking care of
Your
it.
ass is
Fine.
staying home.
Mom was with me first. She came first.
Yeah.
She's the top priority.
You wouldn't be here if
Right,
it weren't
right,
for us,
Hey, simple
okay?
as that. You're staying here.
No, so we had a good time in Vegas. Taught a camp.
Taught with E-Dog, Zach, and then
Ethan, Zach, and Seth.
Seth,
Yeah. So had a good crew.
Dream team.
Dream Team.
Yeah, good turnout. I think we 90 degrees or so, so definitely a little on the hotter side.
30, 32.
Hey, at least it didn't rain.
Yeah, and it's not humid heat and no rain. I'll take it.
And not to butt in here, but talk about how the camp business come a long way. 2021 was when we first ran our first TM camp
I know what you're gonna bring
in Vegas.
Oh no!
Of course, I get sick. I don't know how many times a year. For God's sakes, I mean, with all the IVs, with all the IVs, my immune system sucks.
Me. Yeah, sorry.
But,
use that word.
but for that particular camp, KMac ended up covering for me. We promoted that thing for months. Here I am, right after COVID, spent all this money on podcast equipment. Dropped like $10K on podcast equipment.
Right.
KMac and I
Crossed
filmed
our
150 videos. I'm like in the red trying to pay off all this stuff. And then we, website person, camp administrator, marketing, content. I mean, for God's sakes. And we have 2 people, right? And I'm like, literally like for months, I'm looking at our sign up list and I'm just like,
It's just bleak.
I'm just hoping there's going to be one more that signs up, for
right.
God's sakes. But yeah, that was 2021. Same time. It was like beginning of October 2021. Those 2 people got the ultimate KMac special. Kyle at that price point for 12 hours.
For 2-on-1, that was
come on.
I think the numbers were already not great. I don't know, 6 or 8 people. But then when you dropped out, a bunch of them, they didn't know who I was, right? And this was right around the time where we had both left Level Up. I'm thinking like, all right, I'm going to help my buddy start this. You're like the number 1 or 2 player in the world at this point. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have no problem having people sign up. We get to Vegas and just nobody.
Yikes.
I know you were worried. I was worried. Like you said, it's come a long way.
She's such a baller. She's acting like she's not worried. Taking care,
ice in her veins.
taking
No
care
problem.
of me.
Yeah.
And then come 2022, boom.
Anyhow,
You just gotta
looking a little
believe,
better.
believe,
Numbers
right?
looking a little better.
Yeah.
Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas was good.
and
then went to Boca and taught with Eden.
Oh, yeah.
Eden. So we had 16 in Boca. Bougie Boca.
Hey, we are fans
We heard
of
that-
Romanians.
Okay.
Okay, Alex,
We're all about the
Andre, Eden, Eden.
Eden.
It's Eden. I've called
Eden.
him Eden forever, but I asked him, and he doesn't mind, right? But I think technically it's Eden.
Eden Lika, right? Eden Lika.
Guys eating dumbbells for breakfast.
Does not have the physique of your typical pickleballer. Definitely looks like a tight end.
Oh yeah.
But knows his stuff. Always enjoy teaching with all of the Romanians. They're
Oh my
all great
God.
studs. They're all
Nicest guys, so loyal, and
loyal as hell.
but
Very
their
professional, very
teaching
professional,
is assertive.
Yep,
Very.
absolutely.
Very assertive.
sorry.
They own their courts. They own their courts.
But people appreciate that,
think so.
especially probably like a Boca Babe, which I hear is a thing. I don't know.
Boca Bay.
Okay, babe.
I'm guessing that's like a country club-ish.
So
I won't say more.
So what did Emily tell us about day 1 of the camp? There was a couple ladies that were just a touch difficult, and it was kind of funny. Eden ended up texting my camp administrator Emily and was like, I don't know how Kyle did that.
Kyle's
But the guy's a saint. How he was able to manage all that, turn that thing around, win him over on day 2. Legend. That's why we have him.
It's a fine line you walk, right? First few, when you get a little attitude, the first few times you try to deflect it,
Right. Yeah.
play
Let it roll off. Yeah.
But like after a certain amount of time, like sometimes you have to puff your chest out a little bit.
Foot down.
You're like,
Well, you don't want it to
I've
affect
got
the other
control.
campers, right?
No, you
Yeah.
don't want to bring any negativity, right? So you
right.
shy away from that as much as you can.
Yeah.
But on a couple of times, I had to say, you need to trust me. Like, I've got the flow, not my first rodeo.
Trust
like,
your training.
Yeah.
Don't
try to win the camp.
I don't need to give you the who, what, when, where, why. Sometimes you just need the what, and like everything else will fall into place because you're slowing everything down here.
Yeah,
so,
right.
and when I get a camp like that, it just means that nothing against the personality. It just means that more of the campers are in that just the fun mode, right? Where that's a part of the game, and we bring that too. But like I think I've been doing this a while. I can bring the cerebral side as well. So when I recognize that the demographic leans more towards that fun side, I can pivot a little bit with the lesson plan and make some tweaks. And I did that on day 2, and it went way better. But you know, experience has helped me learn how to pivot in different situations.
Yeah, you can't be stuck to one game plan, right? You can't be. You gotta be open to changing it on the fly, and
you want it to be a positive thing,
correct,
and that's
correct.
a different thing depending on, because sometimes we get mostly 4-0 plus. Sometimes we get almost all 3-0s, and even the 3-0s, there's the people that are like dying to become a 4-0, and then there's the people that just, hey, they're there to be on vacation and they want to have a good time. So you gotta read the room a little bit, and
play to your
adjust
audience.
it as is.
Main principle here is read the room and just be aware of who's in front of you, right? How to cater that lesson plan, move it around,
know your audience.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, and not only that, but like little pro tip, and I used to throw those out there, but for other people or other pros, and maybe even in other sports teaching camps, it's the same thing. Like, you're just first and foremost, it's like address and assess. And I think figuring out, and you're managing your first thing, right? You're just managing all those personalities and getting to know them and getting them to trust you a little bit. Yep. And I've seen it because I've been to plenty of your guys' camps, how you guys, like, there's a little winning over period, and then they're eager and ready to listen. And by the end of it, they're ready to sign up for another one, and they can't wait to, now they understand. And to their credit too, there's probably plenty of these people that are playing in a pickleball camp that maybe weren't even competitive in anything before. And so, like, maybe they've never even been to a camp before, or any sort of, like, you know, high price point teaching type thing. So there's a learning curve there too, right?
Yeah, they're
teaching them to learn,
not necessarily knowing what to expect. And it is funny too, because I've had a few times where, you know, for lack of a better term, there's a difficult personality or person who's just pushing you a little bit. And, you know, I've learned that if you just stay the course and show them that you're a leader, by the second day, sometimes, more often than not, they're your biggest fan. The person that tests you the most, once you get over that hump, they have this respect for you. Yeah. And now it's easy. So it's funny how that goes. Yeah.
What'd you tell me about this last camp? So there was a couple ladies, and they were bit more difficult than day one.
Right.
But by the end of day two, they asked you and Eden for what?
Yeah, they reached out to both of us for like private lessons.
It happens every time. I swear.
Funny,
How many times after a 12-hour camp, both KMac and I are thinking, gosh, like, you know, Sally or Larry, like, they were just tough the whole time. Like, they probably don't like it, or they probably don't like us.
Right.
Come to find out, 3 months later, they end up showing up to a camp, or right after the camp, they tell us that they want a private camp or they want a lesson. So it's just funny how that works.
Well, I love the line too. Like, in the very beginning, you guys say, like, don't try to win the camp. You're here to learn. You didn't pay all that money to come here and then just teach us something, right? Like, so at the same sense,
your
like,
pride aside.
so just trust us, and just, like, it will work. Levels will work themselves out. We'll give plenty of opportunity for you to end up where you need to be. Just trust us, and and the people that do, boom. I mean, it works every single time.
The progress.
Yeah.
And it's tough too, because I mean, I think just, you know, reading people, and I'm not impervious to this at all. Like, I have a lot of pride in the level that I think I am. And I don't think anybody wants to pay for education and get a little bit worse. But I'm very real with people. If you're making changes to your game, like whether technique changes, it's not going to get better right away. And so that's where that trust comes in. It's like, are you willing to trust us enough to get a little bit worse right now, so that long term you're going to be trending the right direction? And it's
it's humbling. Like, I've taken a few of the camps, or I've come in when there's odd numbers.
She's taken
a few.
She's been McGuffin about 30 times.
Well, first I was leveled up a bunch, and
I love my wife to death, but she still runs through her drop. You know, I keep telling her, sweetie, you running through your drop is like hitting a putt in golf and walking.
First off, Matt Goebel taught me my drop.
It wasn't KMac and I.
You, sorry. I
had to be Goebel, who drops at such a high percentage, right?
But he taught me.
It'd be funny if we did a study, because, like, Callie's the same way. Like, she thinks the world of me as a teacher until I give her advice in her game.
It's because we don't hear certain parts of, like,
I'm sure, if I told Meg something, she'd probably eat it up.
For sure.
If you told Callie something, she'd eat it up. But it's just a different dynamic when you're trying to teach your spouse.
All that to say, like, I've been in camps before where, like, on a regular, I'm like a 3-5-4-0 player, but put me in the camp setting and we're drilling and feeding balls and doing all this stuff, and I feel like a freaking 2.5. So I'm like, put me down. But I get it. Most people showing up, especially with their 3 other friends, like, that they all are super competitive, and then they show up, and in just a learning environment, in a drilling setting, in a thing, it's much different than playing, right? And so, maybe you're going to be drilling on a lower court, but then when you get to the game part, maybe you'll work your way up a little bit. But it's being, like, humble enough and trusting the process, and that, you know, it's okay. Doesn't matter where you are. You're learning.
And we'll see that all the time. Like somebody who's a pretty good player, like on dinking day, when we're doing soft game stuff, maybe their soft game isn't that developed, and so they'll start to slide down and down and down. And then on the second day with weapons day, then you see everything start to come out. So, but it hurts the pride a little bit if you're like, hey, I know I'm this good of a player, but if we isolate a particular shot and do games around that, maybe that shot alone, you're only a 3-5, but you're almost like a 4-2-5 as a player. And so not every shot is the same level. Like it ranges.
You pay a professional price point, trust the process.
Trust the process.
There's a little thing called implementation dip. Anytime you're implementing new things, you got to accept it.
But there is a reason why.
And see the light at the end of the tunnel and trust it. And I think we've touched on this numerous times. After a camp, you should have a pretty good plan after the camp, what you're looking to do, what your where your game's at, what your identity is.
You do well.
Be aware of things you do well, things you don't do well, and just like what KMac had mentioned, anytime you're making technique changes, to make those changes during a 12-hour camp, good luck. It's going to take some time, right? Tactical changes you can make pretty much right away. But technique changes, it would make sense that after a camp, you find a drilling buddy, you find a ball machine, and you do some stationary work where you can really hyper focus on that technique. Something that I think we're going to be doing next year. Smart. KMac just mentioned this, and we've been talking about it for a couple of years, but let's put this thing to life. So next year, doing some doubles specific camps where gender, age pushed out the window, doesn't matter. You sign up with your partner, women's partner, men's partner, mixed partner. You show up and same type of format, but simply
you move as a unit.
You just show up with your partner anytime we do, and maybe with the game portion, it's a little less of half court. It's a bit more full court. And, whether you want to drill with your partner or after, let's say, day one, you're sick of drilling with your partners, you can find somebody else on day two. That's totally fine.
Find somebody
but just once you get in that live situational game type scenario, then you would play with your partner. I think it's a freaking home run.
Well, think about what it opens up for us too. Is now when we're giving advice, we can give our advice on like the individual and what they need to do here or there. But you can start giving advice as a team and start coaching to say, hey, here's your strengths, here's your strengths, here's some styles, here's some set plays I would look to use quite a bit. Just maybe open up their mindset, go a little bit more the strategy and the tactical when you're actually giving team advice and not just as individuals.
So hey, if you guys are looking to sign up for a camp, you obviously get over to our website, TysonMcGuffin.com. Click on the sponsor tab. Also, too, we are revamping the website, correct?
We are, and we also I have gotten unofficial word, but that hopefully we'll have a schedule for the tours.
PPA help, come on,
PPA and MLP, please. In I don't want to say, but maybe today or tomorrow, which would awesome. Make all of our lives. Not that we're, for us, it's so funny. It's like everybody's like, "Oh, are you worried about?" I'm like, no, I'm not worried about any of the dates. I just need it in order to do everything else, right?
Everything
it's
is
step
waiting
one,
on those
right?
original dates. No, I feel the same.
It's like
way.
we have our kids' schedules. The very next thing we need is the tour schedules.
The tour schedules. No, absolutely.
So my calendar is eerily empty for the next year, and I'm like, we've all been feeling the pressure. So as soon as we have that, we will then have some camps posted up, and then everybody can start signing up and getting their spots.
Love it.
Also, too, kind of a super exciting news. We're getting our shop kind of planned out in our backyard. We're going to start building sooner than later. But we're hoping by like June 1st we'll have a full shop, 4 courts, viewing area. We'll be moving the pod room out there. I'll have my man cave out there. I'll have like a projector screen, watch my UFC fights every Saturday.
Hey, you're never gonna see this guy.
I'm gonna be out at the crib.
Little does he know. I'm just gonna get it.
And I'm like so excited to like hang up some of like my sports memorabilia stuff, like my first MLP jersey from the Hustlers and my first jersey
that I made
and
keep. Now he's happy
and
about
all
that.
my
Kyle
signature
knows.
paddles and medals and trophies, and just deck that room out. Have the Miller fridge in there, have the Monster fridge in there,
the Rain fridge,
dial,
just a man cave on steroids, right?
Right?
I love it.
I'm telling you, paint it black. She knows how I like black.
No, so it's kind of cool. I've already been talking to a few our designer Stephanie, she's got a guy that does big murals, like in Spokane, you know, on the outside of like big buildings and stuff. So I mean, this whole thing's been a journey, right? Journey for all of us. Like you've been there from the beginning too. So it's like, it'll be cool to kind of like depict that, I think, in there and like have people get an idea of like where we came from, where we're headed.
Vegas 2021, two signups.
We've come a long way, and we've got so far to go. So it's exciting.
Sure. Just get started.
Yeah.
Okay, so our local boys, Ethan and Jace, kind of a cool story. So. I don't have a whole lot of bodies in North Idaho to practice with, but Ethan and Jace have been like just total studs. They've been pretty much drive a couple days a week to Coeur d'Alene to come train with me.
An hour each way.
KMac knows. KMac used to do that. I used to drive to Spokane, but I'm not gonna lie. After 8 years, I'm a tad bougier now.
Even when I was here, it was 80-20. You know, I'm not gonna say you never came to Spokane, but I would say a good half the time that you were gonna come to Spokane. Let's just say something came up,
or it was a little late.
Right.
I'm late to everything.
Top player in the world. You can do stuff like that.
I just wonder how many other players out there, like you guys had to deal with like weather though. Like how many times Kyle had to call and like I literally cannot back out my driveway.
5 a.m.
or
snowstorm.
Something. Anyhow, so Ethan and Jace though, great guys. Jace played like basketball at like a junior college in Washington State. He's been playing pickleball for the last year now, and now he's playing at a pretty like high 5.0 level.
Very athletic. I don't know Jace. I know
likes to wear his tank tops, rocks a mustache.
Send a message.
May look like Ron Jeremy.
Oh, sorry.
And then Ethan. Yeah, Ethan played tennis at Whitworth. Great guy, D3 tennis player. And Ethan's kind of been like my practice guy for the longest time. But Jace just got involved. Anyhow, so those guys are playing at APP Houston this weekend. So shout out to those boys. Hoping they do well. And they're riding the journey. I mean, Ethan's like going full-time pickle. He's going to start working for us a little bit. Once we build the courts in the back, he's going to be teaching on site. Yame, January 1st. Guess where he's moving? Here.
You gotta love that.
Yame. So anyhow,
get some singles reps.
So I'll have Yame coming at me daily. Yep. Great guy, ton of upside.
He's the real deal as far as talent too. Like his doubles game is no joke, and like singles, I don't know. He's to me easily top 10, pushing that top
shot
5.
Maker.
Pushing that top 5, has all the tools.
Yeah, just needs to be in the right environment, and
you crack the whip.
Okay, crack the whip. And one thing I like about Yame, and there's very few guys that do this, he's a total yes guy. 5 a.m. yoga, 6 a.m. Craig.
He'll do the whole routine.
It doesn't matter. The guy just says yes, and I need yes people.
You know what's crazy though? I feel like there's been plenty of a good handful of guys, right, that have come out here to train, right? And I know you've been here for most of those guys that have come out. And I feel like the ones that are like yes guys are the ones that are like just totally like ready to subject themselves to like that they I guess respect and appreciate the process that's worked for you, and they're more than willing to like throw themselves into the fire a little bit. They've all come out with like pretty dang good results, and like they've
right away,
quickly, right? And so like the ones that come that are sponges, like I think the invitation is still out there.
Thank
like
you for
if
tooting my horn,
but I'm just saying, like, and I think that's why we've seen a lot of those guys come back, multiple times because, and not only that, but like you're appreciative to the benefit of them, and especially when they come back with a higher level, like it's super helpful to you too.
Iron sharpens iron, and that's why you see everybody training in Boca. That's why you see players moving to South Cal or moving to Newport Beach. I mean, 3 main hotbeds: Austin, Newport Beach. Boca is the ultimate king, right?
Yeah. And now,
I mean, so many good.
We're seeing tennis players be top 10 within a year if you move to Boca.
And with our forecourt,
seeing that level is just nothing to replace it.
With our forecourt facility, Coeur d'Alene will now be on the map.
The new Boca.
Watch out.
Yeah, and it'll be a little more variable than Boca. So like you show up here, you don't know what you're gonna face.
But hey, I was telling KMac this morning, I'll crank up the heat, make it 98 degrees. crank up the tunes indoors, make the courts extra gritty, like day
slow.
one of a PPA event.
Oh yeah, there we
you
go.
will feel like you're in Boca. No wind though, right? Perfect. It's better than Boca, right? No less variables.
No rain,
indoors, hot
no
as
rain,
hell.
no wind.
Lots of tunes, and the courts are gritty.
Boom.
The U.S. Open
Done.
in Idaho.
But no Franklin balls. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Too extreme. Too
Too extreme.
Right.
We'll throw one in every once in a while. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Sock signed with Selkirk. I think that's a massive signing. What a complete stud.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's using the Lux paddle. I'm pretty sure that thing is 20 mil. And anyhow, it's very thick. Similar to Texas Toast, right? And for I guess Jack to come out and say he's using that paddle comes to show how lively that stinking arm is, right? And obviously,
needs to dampen it down a little bit.
He won majors, gold medalist at the Olympics, great career in tennis, and no, I think it's a huge move for Selkirk. He's more than marketable. He's got a big following. And it's just going to be interesting to see how many events he plays next year, how he does. I think he's going to do very well. Yeah. And then also, too, just what these tennis guys got in their contracts. And just I would assume in order to get that guarantee, they're going to have to play so many events. And it's just going to be interesting to kind of see how that whole thing unfolds. And just how Donald does next year with his results, how Jack does next year. We obviously Sam, do I think Sam's taking it all that serious? I don't really think he is. Obviously Sam's very talented, and he's gotten a ton better than the last year or so.
Yeah, and
he's putting in the reps.
Right.
But it's so funny just judging by some of his content, and he's always making fun of himself, and he's throwing funny content out there. I don't fully think these tennis guys are gonna really embrace training and digging in and putting in a ton of time and effort. I could be totally wrong, but
well, it's a tricky position, right? Because I would say they've been scrapping and fighting and clawing
for a while
for so much in such a higher stakes environment, higher pressure, much more expensive. Hundreds of times harder to reach a top level. There's got to be a little bit of okay, let's take a deep breath. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to get a little guarantee. And I'm sure though, they have plenty of competitive fire left and all the above. But for
dogs at heart.
For a little break, I'm sure. I don't know, talking to Golden's wife, right? And she's like, okay, he's done with Bumble right now. I just want to take a break. We're just going to be a family. We're just going to hang out, enjoy golfing, enjoy playing pickleball. We're not going right back into competition and traveling and all of this stuff. Let's just take a step back. So I wonder if there'll be maybe a little transition period, and then maybe you'll see, sea levels go up.
That's kind of what I see. I think they're kind of viewing this as the sport that they can be very good at right away. It's their fun sport. They don't have to grind to the same degree as tennis. But I think you're going to see who the true competitors are when they start playing these tournaments. Let's say they have a couple tournaments in a row where they go 2 and out, and then they start getting the trash talk and everything. I think that you're going to see that chip start to get back on the shoulder of some of these guys where they're like, you know what? I'm going to put in the time and I'm going to show you. And so I think it's going to start out, maybe a touch more casual. Right. Then they're going to realize how high the level really is. Right. And I think that there's going to be a chip on some people's shoulder. I don't know. I could be wrong. Right. Obviously, they're balancing a lot of things with family and kids and where they're at with life.
Jack's wife, Laura, is getting ready to have a kid.
Yeah.
Jack actually just built a court in his backyard, too.
Oh, okay.
Kind of nice.
Yes.
But honestly, the ultimate power move is some of Sam's replies to these haters on socials.
Sam's
he goes about it in the most soft and easy way, very laid back, and he throws something back, but in the most polite way, and then his wife gets on there. Pretty funny, but I don't know. Sam obviously could care less about what people are talking about.
He takes it pretty well.
No,
give the guy credit,
and even pickleball memes has been ripping him up since day one, and I guarantee Sam is not losing any sleep over that nonsense.
No, and I think too, talking to Abby, right? She's, during his tennis career, obviously straight and narrow and focused and all this, and even like staying off of, which you could take advantage of using social media, even like on the tennis side at that point, right? But just very, one track mind. It's the same thing, I think, with Pickle. It gave him an opportunity, and now he's like, yeah, I can mess around on social media and do funny stuff and enjoy it, right? Like, I've made it. I've worked my ass off. I accomplished in tennis. I now get to like enjoy my family and enjoy what I do, and I'm gonna take the pressure off, and I'm gonna take the monkey off my back, and why not?
Just have some fun with it.
Yeah, who cares?
Funny story about Sam. So when Sam's parents were like hanging out up in Sandpoint, Idaho, for like a month or so this summer. So Sam came down and like played some pickle with me one day, and I thought he'd like want to drill a half court and like get after it and like kind of test me so I could test him. And of course, he shows up. He's got his buddy with him. His buddy's a 4-0, and then he's got like the Gonzaga tennis coach. I can't remember what his name is.
I'm blanking his name.
You know what I'm talking about?
Cesar?
Cesar. Yeah, Cesar. Yeah. Anyhow, so all that was good. We played some. It was very laid back. But it was funny because Sam was driving like an Escalade, and I had my Cadillac SRX, and Sam ended up taking my car keys, right? and all those guys left, and I'm like at Stub Myers Park in Rafton,
stranded.
And I'm
you
like,
called me, and I'm like, God, I like never do this. Like I always put my keys on the side of my Selkirk bag, in which I tell KMac put it in small pockets, right?
I never listen.
Right? Hey, put it in small pockets.
So you're like me. He doesn't hear it. Anyway.
And anyhow, so I ended up calling Sam, and I'm like, did you happen to take my keys? And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And he had driven like 30 minutes north. Anyhow, to like bring this back around, Roscoe was here about a week ago, and Matt, my buddy Matt from Coeur d'Alene lives in LA now. So they all practice with Sam, right?
Yeah.
And this ongoing, not joke, but like something they noticed with Sam is that anytime he leaves, he's always leaving his paddles. So they all practice together, right? And the guy is he's not an airhead, but he's just spacey, right? Big tall Sammy. So he'll leave the courts. He leaves his paddle. He leaves his water. Like he never leaves with everything. Sucker.
Space cadet.
But no, nicest guy, great personality, and I think he's great for pickleball. Yeah. And just like tennis players being signed, Eugenie Bouchard, is that her name?
Yeah.
Jeannie Bouchard.
Jeannie Bouchard. And you have Donald. You have who else? You have Sammy, Jack. I think there was one.
When they're talking to the Bryan brothers, I don't know what's going to happen.
Bryan brothers, let those clubby hands take part.
People want to see the righty lefty. I mean, present some options. Obviously,
right.
Most accomplished doubles team in tennis ever. They're not spring chickens anymore, but Matt Wright shows what you can do in your mid 40s. It's possible. So I think we'd all like to see.
Give yourself a 10mm Onyx Premier, and let's just talk about that real quick. So if people don't know, Matt Wright has not used his knees at all ever, right? The guy basically stands
Doesn't
upright,
need to.
and how talented he is to simply be able to just do it by the good feel with your upper extremities without any legs is flat out silly. And he's doing it with a paddle that is thin as paper, comes off like a bazooka, and the hitting zone is no more than that big.
Precision.
I mean, kudos to that guy for being able to and anytime that I play Matt, like we're not always like, hey, like pick on Matt in transition or like dink a lot to Matt or like make sure like you hit the return to Matt. Like
no, his soft
game is dialed without any legs and a slice of paper to play with, right? The guy's good.
Yeah, no, I mean the combo of very soft hands and very fast hands, and give credit where credit's due. I think as far as his IQ,
tactical standpoint,
IQ for pickleball, top notch, especially attacking. He knows what spots to hit people, where the counter is going to come. I mean, from a cerebral level, he's playing the game as high as anybody.
Right, for sure. How much longer do you think Matt plays?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know him super well, like on a personal level, so I don't know if he's, is he prideful enough where if he falls out of the top 10, he just wouldn't be interested anymore. I think maybe I don't know him super well, but I think as long as he's still competing for medals, which he very much is, he's going to keep rocking it. But when he knows that the medals are not going to happen anmore is probably when he's going to start to phase it
and
out. And he's
financially,
not full time. He's
financially,
he's
he's fine. Yeah.
Well, he's got plenty of probably bigger accolades off the pickleball court, so there's plenty to go back to or continue to do or whatever, right? If he doesn't. So
I mean, you just wonder with the person's personality, like how much would they miss just that high energy competitive environment. But again,
he doesn't like that at all.
I don't see just like I don't see you doing it. I don't see like a Matt going to like a senior pro. I just don't see it. I don't see you either, like being senior pro one day. And just I think
you've said as much. You said I'm still doing this when I'm 50.
I think part of it though too is because of like where we're at in our life, similarly to the tennis players, right? Like I mean. Like Sam's not playing is retired from tennis, but his kids are very young, and so now he gets to be with his kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's probably your main thing that you always follow that up with is I also, in that many years, my kids are going to be at sports age. I'd love to be there full time.
Dump it all back with the kids. For sure. And if we can keep this like team franchise guarantee going on for a long time, I guarantee whether you're winning or not, if there's guarantee and you have money coming in your pockets, you probably would stay around a few extra years.
Sure. Right. Even with, but I think it's cool too,
putting your pride aside.
Not to flip it too much, but like with the live golf thing and with some of the captains having team ownership, and like Bubba, for instance, has ownership in the Range Goats, I would assume that if there's a day when Bubba's level dropped or Bubba wasn't going to play anymore, he would still help run that franchise, right? Like as an owner, and then there would be some new talent coming in and playing on that team. So yeah, there's an evolution there too. I think that could take place where you wouldn't still play forever, right?
I mean, somebody like a Matt Wright would be a pretty mean GM for an MLP team as far as knowing the game and knowing talent, and so there's opportunities for the top players in a variety of areas to still be in pickleball without
especially the
on
foundational members, and I feel like obviously he's definitely one of them for sure, 100%.
Okay, so we have a crazy couple weeks coming up. We have MLP Dallas that we fly out to, Monday. We practice with our team twice Tuesday, twice Wednesday, twice Thursday, and then we kick DC's ass for items kick.
Step one.
And then after Dallas, actually that's Sunday night, nutty schedule. I fly to Palm Springs, bang out a 64-person camp, KMac with me, Palm Springs, Monday, Tuesday, fly out Tuesday night, back to Dallas.
Right back to Dallas.
There's a gentleman, his name's Merrick. Merrick is a member at Gazer, probably one of the coolest guys that I have met up there. He is extremely kind, and he's got a big, beautiful home on a ton of land there in Dallas. We're actually going to stay with him for like a week.
With our babies. Him and his wife. Very, very kind to open their home up to us. And so we'll be staying there during Nationals.
So you're right. So fly back Tuesday night to Dallas, play Nationals Wednesday through, I think it's through Sunday.
Yeah.
This is the first time ever where they're changing the format. So Nationals, it's one event per day. So singles, men's doubles.
One game of each event. So on Wednesday, he'll play his round of 32 singles. He'll play his round of
32 mix.
32. Is it all 32? Okay, yeah.
Whatever
multiple events in
but just
the same
one
day, but just one.
But just one.
Round.
Yeah. So I wonder how that. Well, and they're talking about doing that for the tour next year.
No, so speaking to a couple of the players, it sounds like it's kind of a go.
Wow. That's a big deal. That's a big change.
Different. Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're running and gunning and feeling well and playing singles on Thursday,
is it a momentum stop?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not opposed to it, but I just think there's a certain rhythm that you get, obviously, when you play one event per day. And I mean, it's going to be different. I don't know if you play men's or mixed first or whatever, but plain and simple. And is it 3 out of 5?
It's 3 out of 5.
So singles is not. But
singles is
men's
still 2
Are you
3
sure?
out of 5. Yeah, I'm positive.
Oh, okay,
sure.
Okay. I thought they were all were just because it's one a day.
Got it.
But yeah, and then I obviously still like based on ranking stuff. Certain people have buys and things like that. So maybe
it's gonna be different though. Like
so you
can
play
be
max
like
of 13 games a day, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can be like a right side player where you play your men's, the right side, and then all of a sudden now you're playing mixed, and like you're having to play kamikaze, totally different.
Right. But also too, it's gonna show like a certain level of skill set to be able to bounce back and forth. I think like I don't know, you're gonna see the best players perform.
Yeah. They'll rise.
Right?
They'll rise
And
but long term, do you think it kind of then creates a tennis situation where maybe there are some players that are like, you know, I'm a single specialist, I want to focus on that, and then you kind of see similar, but I guess not, because the money's in, right, because the money is more in doubles anyways. So yeah, I guess not.
But definitely like adds a certain challenge to your craft, right?
Yeah.
When you're playing
Absolutely.
three,
Shake it up,
and men's doubles and I mean, just like what KMac said, if you're like a right side specialist in men's and your left side guy takes over and you play a smaller sliver of the court, and then you play your mix later on, but you're playing with a female that you're pushing over and you're playing the left, like apples and oranges, right? Night and day.
You know, like wear a completely different hat
For
20
sure.
minutes later.
Yeah.
And, you know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of MLP in that way.
Right,
I mean, you had to do that. I mentioned it about Christian. I said Christian had the toughest job on our team because he would go from playing the right side with Riley and be the setup guy. And then all of a sudden, we're like, we want you to be very aggressive, use that athleticism, take a ton of court, play on the left side and mixed, you know, just right after one another. So it's challenging. But like you said, the big dogs will step it up.
The one thing, though, I think
leave the puppies on the porch and let the big dogs eat it.
I think it helps with scheduling. Obviously, you're going to know when you play. Obviously, the tennis players are going to love it because they won't have to experience the long grind of a day with multiple matches and no scheduling, no scheduled times and things like that. So I think it solves a lot of other problems. So we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So for all the YouTube subscribers, that's just, you know, that may be a little bummed out that there's not a whole lot of content pumping out of our YouTube channel. You should know that I have my guy Colton here with us today. That is my new guy, and he's a total stud. Love him to death. Loves himself some combat sports as well. And probably going to end up in Vegas with us December 16th for that crazy weekend. Anyhow, today KMac and I, why he's here. No, he did not move to Coeur d'Alene. He's still got a family, right? He's you know, all the above.
This kid's
He's got plenty going on, but he is here so we can get nice and cerebral. And we're gonna be pumping out some videos today and tomorrow. We found a gal that is nice enough that is allowing us to use her indoor court. So something you guys should look for in 2024 is that we're gonna simplify the YouTube channel, and essentially we'll probably do anywhere from 2 to 3 pods a month. We're gonna do one boiler each month, and then we're gonna do one educational video each month. So let's say, you know, each week we're gonna come out with one piece of content, whether that's educational video, pod, or boiler room. So today, or I guess for like the next 2 days, we're hoping that we crank out anywhere from like 15 to 20 videos that we can kind of have in the hopper, you know what I mean?
In the bank. Just so that we can have obviously consistent content coming out. And then, I think the pod, we've got a little bit better schedule now. Yep. Once we have the tour schedules, hopefully we'll even have a better look at all of that. But more consistent stuff. And then
and just kind of a general idea for next year. So we'll KMac's going to keep doing PPA stuff. MLP, from what it sounds like MLP wants us to run some camps afterwards. So you may be looking for like another lead, but anyhow, next year it sounds like we'll kind of be in a similar spot with PPA, partnering up camps on the Monday, Tuesday after, and then MLP. I would assume we can kind of keep that same schedule. It seems like that schedule is very successful and it works. The Monday, Tuesday after, and I think we're gonna start opening these things up to maybe double specific or just maybe do some different creative stuff with the camps, offer some doubles format stuff. But anyhow, looking forward to next year, looking forward to just pumping out some new content, having a better strategy going into YouTube next year. Also too, something that we did not mention is that we're starting a separate channel come next year with a good glimpse into just the chaos of our children. How my wife and I are always dialed, never any fighting.
Of course not.
No.
And, I'm always bowing down, letting her drive the Escalade.
I always listen to every word,
Just shut up, Tyson. Okay? You're not that cool. Shut up.
No, it'll be a little bit of a reality check. I don't know. Everybody, I mean, I should say I think there's quite a few fans out there that have a semi good glimpse. I mean, you're doing stories all the time.
Right. Basically, each week you see a full vlog on my stories.
Yeah,
but now it's going to be professional, and it's going
to be a separate entity.
And we're going to make a
separate channel, and you guys can take a look. And if anything, I think we talked about this last time. For me, it's like, I mean, it's such a crazy time, and the sport is evolving so fast.
Absolutely.
Our family is evolving so fast. Our businesses, our brand, like everything is going at such a rapid rate. If anything, it's like just a documentation of all of it, right?
Wow.
So
give people a
start
glimpse.
it now,
What
right?
Hey, Ty, get in here. This guy right here, come on in here
he's
real
been
quick.
watching his film.
Ty's been watching the whole pod. Ty's going to be a content creator someday. That's what he keeps telling me.
He's aspiring to be.
Yeah, he's inspiring to be. And we're going to a soccer game this Saturday in Othello. Even though he's lost his last 2 games, said he got 2 goals in his last game. Ended up losing 2-4. It says the team just not playing good enough defense, right? He's more of an offensive guy, so just let him score the goal.
I can't do it all myself.
Hopefully his team's not listening. He didn't say that. He never would say that. He appreciates your defense,
of course,
and
But anyhow, so he's got a big game this Saturday. So I got him set up to I got him like a little 3-0 group to play with today, and then a 3-0 group to play with tomorrow. So he's gonna get some pickling while he's here, and then he's gonna take heads off come Saturday and tear up that soccer field. Baby.
And he'll have Macker and Banks there and Skyman.
He's gonna have the whole squad
cheering him on.
Section.
Oh yeah. That's what he's been missing. That's what he needed.
We got put on snack duty. So we're bagging up 20 snacks.
15 max. Yeah.
It's gonna be nothing but rain, just like his dad dumping on his head.
He can have a water. No, just kidding. A sparkling one. We'll let it go. Shake it up. Spray it around.
Give him some bubbly.
Yeah, exactly. That's safe and age approved. Okay.
Also, when KMac is sick of teaching camps, Ty's gonna take over.
Yeah, right.
You got your new lead right here.
Hey, this is our 2024 MLP lead. Right. So funny about Ty. So he took a couple camps this summer, right? And his game got so much better.
Way better.
And when he took that first camp in Nashville, he came home and he's like, Dad, I'm gonna play pickle every day. So I would drop him off at the park for 4 hours, and there's like this little stacking system, and they have 6 or 8 courts, and he'd stack his paddles up and talk to everybody, and super personable, and it was so fun. I can't tell you how many times I showed up to pick him up, and it's like he's been playing from like 8 to 1, right? There's really nobody there. It's 1 o'clock. And Ty's asking everybody that even like looks at the park to play, right?
He's walking his dog. Hey, you want to play?
You want to go play?
I got an extra paddle.
Anyhow, this a couple of times I'd show up and pick him up, and I swear he's on court and he's coaching, and some of the same one-liners that we use, he's telling. He's like, hey, if you don't have enough time, don't be afraid to take a little step back.
I love it.
Or when you're dinking aggressively, make sure you go linear and you go like a little deeper in the kitchen. Or when you're hitting your 3rd ball drop, make sure you're not looking to see how pretty it is. It's so funny that his brain is I wish my brain was still as spongy as his. Because the guy can just pick up on every little one-liner.
He might not take his own advice, but he's ready to give it.
He doesn't listen to Dad, but he will gladly give advice.
Those are the best coaches, right? We don't listen to what we say.
Don't look in the mirror. Just look at
do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly.
Tell you what, he's got a Ferrari forehand, but he's also got a Bugatti backhand. We've been working on using that left hand. He's got a 2-handed backhand. Honestly, and his backhand technique almost looks better than his forehand technique. But you know what he loves? He loves showing Dad his serve.
The serve's a weapon. I remember the serve.
Offense.
And he's got his routine. I bounced it a couple times. His stance is open, just like Dad's.
Yeah.
Stud.
Love it.
Stud. Watch out. Guy's lethal. My name is Tyson McGuffin. This is The McGuffin Show. We will see you guys next episode. Happy to have this guy back.